The three C's that will save our society are curiosity, compassion, and connection. In this episode, I share why leading with these three C's will create a more loving and peaceful world.
You are listening to the Sound Therapy Network podcast, where we talk about all things sound healing. This podcast is for practitioners and clients who want to learn more about this magical healing modality.
You are listening to the Sound Therapy Network podcast. I am your host, Niajae, Embodiment Coach, owner of Bliss Wellness Studio in Tampa, Florida, and the creator of Somatic Sound Therapy. There's no question that there is a lot of pain and fear in this world. And this podcast episode isn't about what side you fall on, my thoughts on politics, or anything that's actually happening in the world. This episode is about our hearts, our souls, our nervous systems. There is a division happening and a numbing. We have witnessed so much pain and trauma and tragedy on social media, and we are becoming numb. Our nervous systems were not designed to witness some of the tragedy that we see firsthand on social media while scrolling, and then right after we're laughing at a TikTok or a reel. It's impacting us deeper than we know, and it's definitely reflecting in our mental, emotional, and physical well-being. It's reflecting in spaces feeling safe, communities, and even healing spaces that no longer feel safe. A lot of people are not okay, and rightfully so. We all know there is a real problem, and while I may not have an overall solution, I do have a very simple framework that will help our hearts, our souls, and even our nervous systems start to feel safe within, despite the chaos that is going on around us. I call this simple framework the three C's. Incorporating the three C's into our lives will help us operate from a place of love, unity, and divine energy. The three C's are curiosity, compassion, and connection. First, curiosity. Leading with curiosity. Understanding we don't have to agree to respect each other. We don't even have to agree to love each other. Can we get curious about how someone feels without trying to change their mind, without invalidating their experience, or without telling them that they're wrong? If we invalidate someone's feelings, emotions, or experience, they'll never actually feel safe with us. If we argue them down and try to get them to see things from our point of view, we're battling each other when both experiences can be true. Both points are valid. Two people can walk into the same restaurant at the same time and have completely different experiences, and both are valid. As a person of color, I don't expect a white person to understand fully how I feel and what I've experienced. I no longer spend energy trying to get people to get it, to understand. However, those that are curious and ask questions about my life and my upbringing and the way that I see the world, that creates connection. They may never fully get it to be able to walk in my shoes, but a person that is curious about my experiences, that creates connection. The second C is compassion. This is a topic I talk about a lot. Brené Brown says compassion and empathy are learned skills, and it's true. A lot of people don't actually know what true compassion is, because usually when we are trying to be compassionate or empathetic, it usually lands as an empathy miss. And this is something that I incorporate in the Sound Therapy Network trainings, because when we learn true compassion and empathy, it helps us become more emotionally safe individuals. And that's very important for practitioners to understand. And the reason why a lot of people don't know what true compassion is because our programming is usually based in control, manipulation, and fear. When we learn to show compassion without control, that is when true connection happens. When we learn to show compassion without manipulation. And the thing about manipulation is often we don't know that we're doing it. It's definitely in our subconscious mind because of the deep programming. And it's something I can say myself, I didn't know I was being manipulative until I went to therapy and my therapist brought it to my attention, because a lot of times we're programmed to be a certain way, to earn love, to be accepted, to be valued. And we're using something to get what we want. We're using something to earn love, but that is conditional and it's not true connection. And then that brings me to the empathy misses. If someone comes to us with something that is concerning, like, let me share this thing that I'm experiencing, and we automatically jump to advice or feedback, if the person didn't ask for feedback or advice, that's actually an empathy miss. Yes, we want to help. Yes, we want to be of value, but are we respecting the person's process? So what healthy compassion and empathy looks like is saying, thank you for sharing that with me. Can you let me know what support looks like for you? Do you want feedback or advice? Do you want me to just listen? Or do you want to workshop it together? And that is creating connection, because it's showing compassion, it's showing respect, and it's also getting curious about what support looks like from that person. But these are learned skills that require us to unlearn the harmful programming of today's society that is based in control, manipulation, and fear. And often when we do inner child healing, it definitely helps us understand these topics better, because our inner child wants to be accepted, wants to be seen, wants to be of value. And society tells us if we are of value to a person will not leave us, they will not abandon us. But it's not true. And when we can learn to ground into ourselves and have self-worth from within, and we don't need to earn love, then it creates space for true connection, which is the third C, connection. Brene Brown says control is the near enemy of connection. So when we are trying to control a person's journey, we're actually creating disconnect instead of connection. So when we try to control a person's perspective, it also creates disconnection. So we may have two different views, but if I'm trying to force you to see things my way, that's controlling your perspective, and that's going to create disconnection instead of connection. So understanding that I can respect your perspective and I don't have to agree. You can respect my perspective and not agree, but we don't have to force each other to see things the same way, and we can still respect each other. We can still love each other. And I think that that's something that a lot of people, especially on social media, don't understand. They feel like, no, this is my perspective and you have to understand it. You have to agree, when we don't have to. We can still respect each other. We can still love each other, even if we don't agree. But that does require emotional intelligence. And that is something that I teach in my trainings. It's something that I focus on with my embodiment coaching, knowing that we're all human beings with different lives, different perspectives, different upbringings, different biases, different triggers and wounds. So knowing that we're not always going to see things the same way, and it doesn't mean that we can't be in each other's lives. But when we try to force someone to see things our way, that doesn't feel safe. That doesn't create safety in the nervous system. And the reason why this was really important for me to talk about is because so many people's nervous systems are on edge, and it's impacting us mentally, physically, and emotionally. People don't feel safe. Social media doesn't feel safe, and our nervous systems weren't built to deal with how much chaos. We're inundated with information, we're inundated with notifications and all of the feedback and perspective and news and fake news, that it makes it where spaces don't feel safe. I believe we have to create safety internally first, and then really ground into that regardless of what's happening around us. But sometimes when we're in the thick of it, it makes it really hard to do. So we have to join together and actively choose to operate from a place of love. And to me, that is adapting frameworks like this, leading with curiosity, having compassion, and then cultivating true connection. So, can we get curious about other people's perspectives, even if we don't agree? Can we have compassion for their pain, for their fear? Can we cultivate true connection by being a grounded nervous system and a place of safety for people? I want to offer some language that might be helpful as well. I can't imagine how you feel, and while I may not understand, thank you for sharing your perspective with me. We may have differing views, but thank you for feeling safe to express how you feel with me. It takes a lot of courage to speak your truth these days, and a lot of people don't feel comfortable doing it because there's so many people attacking each other on social media, in real life, in family dynamics. So speaking up requires courage, and our nervous system is always on guard these days, which, if we're not accessing that rest and digest state because we're stuck in fight, flight, or freeze, that is impacting our mental, emotional, and physical well-being. When we're having a conversation, reminding ourselves we don't have to agree to respect a person's perspective. When we try to change a person's perspective, that kills the connection, it lacks compassion, and there's no curiosity. We can differ in perspective and still respect each other as human beings. Please share this episode with someone that will find value in it. If you are a practitioner that wants to learn more about our sound therapy trainings, you can go to soundtherapynetwork.com. And in addition to teaching how to play the bowls, how to add sound therapy to your services, we also focus on emotional intelligence for practitioners. So we're creating more emotionally safe practitioners and more safety in the healing space. If you are a client that has interest in working with me, I am located in Tampa, Florida. I do have people travel into town to work with me. And you can also access my embodiment coaching and tools through the Healthy Love Healing method, which is conveniently accessible through the Healthy Love Healing app. You can download it in your app store. Until next time, wishing you healing and harmony.
Thank you so much for listening to the Sound Therapy Network podcast. Edgar Cayce says, sound is the medicine of the future. The future is now. By listening and sharing this podcast, you are contributing to the wave of healing in the world and safety in the healing space.